There is a city in the American South where the rules were rewritten, where the blueprint for Black wealth, Black power, and Black excellence wasn't borrowed from somewhere else. It was authored, from scratch, on red clay, in the heat, by women who decided that waiting for permission was a luxury they could not afford. Atlanta, Georgia, the Black Mecca. The city where being Black and rich isn't an anomaly, it's an expectation. And running quietly, loudly, unapologetically through the DNA of that city is a class of Black women so formidable, so diverse in their genius, so relentless in their ambition, that the rest of the world is only now beginning to catch up to what Atlanta has known for decades. From reality television royalty to billion-dollar media empires, from soul food restaurants to Grammy-winning songwriting catalogs, from beauty brands sold to Fortune 500 companies, to courtroom victories worth tens of millions. These women don't just live in Atlanta, they own it. And this is their countdown. At number 10 is Shamea Morton. Atlanta-born, Atlanta-raised, and very much Atlanta's definition of what it looks like when a woman refuses to be put in a corner. Known to millions through her decade-long presence on The Real Housewives of Atlanta, first as a fan favorite friend of the Housewives, and then as a full-time cast member in season 16, Shamea's story is deeper than the peach she finally earned. She was a professional cheerleader for the Atlanta Falcons for 5 seasons, serving as captain, and then cheered for the Atlanta Hawks. She studied broadcast journalism at Morris Brown College and earned dual degrees in psychology and sociology from Georgia State University. She carved out a career as a radio personality on Atlanta's legendary V103, one of the most listened to stations in the city, and has hosted everything from NBA sideline coverage to the event circuit that keeps Atlanta's social calendar turning. In May 2022, she and her husband Gerald Mwangi, a Kenyan entrepreneur whose company has built HVAC systems inside some of America's major airports and who carries an estimated net worth of $177 million, purchased a 21,000 square foot mansion in Atlanta for $9 million, nicknamed Sterling Hall. For her birthday, Gerald surprised her with a Rolls-Royce Cullinan valued at $430,000, and the internet lost its mind for a week. Shamea's estimated net worth sits at approximately $12 million, but in Atlanta, it's not just about what's in your account, it's about who you are in the room. And Shamea Morton has never once had trouble commanding a room. At number 9 is Marlo Hampton, and Marlo's story is one of the most genuinely extraordinary in Atlanta's social history, because it began not in privilege, but in a foster care system in Clearwater, Florida, where a 9-year-old girl was separated from her mother and moved between group homes and families with no guarantee of anything. She arrived in Atlanta in her 20s with nothing but a vision, an unshakable eye for fashion, and the determination of someone who understood on a bone-deep level that the only way out was through. She opened the Red Carpet Boutique in Atlanta in 2008, a high-end styling boutique that quickly caught the attention of Atlanta's elite and eventually the producers of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, where she spent over a decade in varying capacities before finally earning her full-time peach in season 14. She founded Glam It Up, a nonprofit that empowers young girls in the foster care system with mentorship, styling opportunities, and the radical message that their circumstances do not define their ceiling. Her estimated net worth ranges between $600,000 and $6 million, depending on the source. And while the number may not match the size of her presence, Marlo Hampton's legacy in Atlanta, the boutiques, the nonprofit, the foster girls who watched her on television and saw something that looked like possibility, is worth considerably more than any figure a spreadsheet can hold. Number 8 is Porsha Williams, a woman whose Atlanta story contains more plot twists than most scripted dramas dare to attempt. Born on June 22, 1981 in Atlanta, to a family with serious civil rights credentials, Her grandfather, Hosea Williams, was one of Martin Luther King's most trusted lieutenants, described by Dr. King as my wild man, my Castro, for his fierce organizing ability. Porsha grew up understanding that her name carried weight, and that the weight demanded something of her. She joined The Real Housewives of Atlanta in Season 5 in 2012, and spent nearly a decade becoming one of the show's most magnetic, controversial, and commercially successful personalities. At her peak, she was earning an estimated $1.3 million per season, one of the highest figures in franchise history. But Porsha's Atlanta story extends far beyond Bravo. She has launched hair care product lines, written a memoir titled The Pursuit of Porsha: How I Grew into My Power and Purpose, developed a production deal with NBC that, according to her 2024 divorce proceedings, generated an annual income of approximately $8 to $9 million, a figure that startled even people who thought they knew her financial picture. She has used her platform for civil rights activism, participating in the 2020 Black Lives Matter protests with the same urgency her grandfather once brought to Selma. She has lived publicly through personal crises, a broken engagement, a controversial remarriage, a divorce, and emerged each time with her audience intact and her business interests growing. Porsha Williams' estimated net worth sits between $5 and $6 million, but the woman is still building. And in Atlanta, that's exactly the kind of story this city was designed to produce. At number 7 is Rashida Frost, rapper, fashion entrepreneur, reality TV veteran, and one of the original architects of the hustle hard and never stop aesthetic that defines Atlanta's entertainment culture. Born in Decatur, Georgia, Rashida launched her music career as a teenager as part of the hip-hop group Decapers, then went solo and released her debut album, Dirty South, in 2001 under Motown Records, one of only a handful of female Southern rappers to land a major label deal at that time. She became an original cast member of VH1's Love and Hip Hop Atlanta from its very first season, earning approximately $25,000 per episode at her peak, and using that platform to build what she actually cared about most, a fashion empire. She launched I'mBossy.com, later rebranded as Pressed Boutique, a women's fashion brand with retail locations in Atlanta and Houston. She created Poise Cosmetics and Rashida Fit. She and her husband, Kirk Frost, launched Frost Bistro and Bar in Atlanta's Castleberry Hill neighborhood, serving the community while building a lifestyle brand around their name. Her Birkin bag collection, which she posts regularly on Instagram with zero apology, has become something of a recurring cultural event. Her estimated net worth ranges between $600,000 and $6 million, with the wide variance reflecting the challenge of valuing an entrepreneurial portfolio that is privately held and actively expanding. In Atlanta, Rashida Frost is a founding mother of the city's love and hip-hop era, and founding mothers get their flowers on this list. Number 6 is Tamika Tiny Harris, and the gap between how the world has historically seen Tiny and who Tiny actually is has always been one of Atlanta's best-kept open secrets. Born in College Park, Georgia, Tiny grew up in a household steeped in R&B royalty. Her father and uncle were founding members of the Tams, and by 1992, she was a teenager performing with Escape, the R&B quartet discovered by Jermaine Dupri at a birthday party in Atlanta and signed to So So Def Recordings. Escape released 3 platinum albums. Tiny sang lead on their biggest hits. And then, in 1999, she wrote something that would generate income for the next quarter century. She co-wrote TLC's No Scrubs, one of the best-selling singles in music history, which later provided the foundational riff for Ed Sheeran's Shape of You in 2017, earning Tiny a publishing royalty in one of the most streamed songs of the streaming era. She was awarded the Grammy for Best R&B Song for No Scrubs in 2000. She later launched Pretty Hustle, her own record label. She became a television personality through T.I. and Tiny, The Family Hustle. She purchased the Atlanta Airs basketball team. She opened Got Da Juice, a bar in Stockbridge, Georgia. And in September 2024, after years of litigation, a jury awarded Tiny and her husband T.I. $71 million in a copyright infringement case against toy company MGA Entertainment, whose OMG dolls the couple successfully argued were modeled after their daughter group, the OMG Girls. Her individual estimated net worth sits at approximately $5 to $10 million. But Tiny Harris built a legacy before most people knew her name. That's Atlanta royalty. At number 5 is Phaedra Parks. Attorney, mortician, television personality, author, and arguably the most multidisciplinary woman on this entire list. Born and raised in Athens, Georgia, Phaedra earned her law degree, passed the Georgia bar, and built a private practice, the Parks Group PC, specializing in entertainment law, litigation, and contracts for professional athletes and entertainers. She has served as a legal analyst for Fox News and NBC. She became a licensed mortician and owns a funeral home in Atlanta, a business decision that she has described as both a spiritual calling and, with characteristically dry wit, recession-proof. She joined The Real Housewives of Atlanta in Season 3 in 2010 and became one of the show's most singular presences, delivering quotable lines with the poise of someone who has argued motions in front of a judge that morning. She left the show under controversial circumstances in 2017 before returning to the cast in Season 16 in 2024, older, wiser, and utterly unbothered. She has authored books, developed business ventures, and maintained a public presence that spans decades. Her estimated net worth sits at approximately $6 to $9 million. Phaedra Parks is the woman you call when you need both a brilliant legal mind and an impeccably dressed presence at a press conference. And in Atlanta, that combination is worth every dollar. Number 4 is Cynthia Bailey, a woman who arrived in Atlanta by way of New York's most prestigious modeling world and never quite left the elegance behind. Born in Gadsden, Alabama, Cynthia moved to New York City in her early 20s and signed a 5-year contract with Wilhelmina Models, one of the most powerful modeling agencies in the world, walking runways in Paris and Milan and appearing in magazine campaigns and music videos at a level that most models never reach. She joined The Real Housewives of Atlanta in Season 3 in 2010, bringing with her a composure and an aesthetic that the network had specifically sought out, and she remained on the show for 11 seasons, one of the longest tenures in the franchise's history. In Atlanta, she opened the Bailey Agency School of Fashion, a modeling and talent school dedicated to developing the next generation of Georgia's creative talent. She launched her own winery, Belle Rose, and invested in real estate across multiple states. Her estimated net worth sits at approximately $2 to $2.5 million, more modest than some of her counterparts on this list, but built on a foundation of genuine excellence in one of the world's most competitive industries, and expanded through one of television's most consistent careers. In a city full of women who reinvented themselves, Cynthia Bailey is the one who never had to. She arrived fully formed. At number 3 is Monique Rodriguez, founder and CEO of Mielle Organics, and the woman behind what became the most significant business transaction in Black female beauty history. Monique didn't launch Mielle Organics from a corporate office or a venture capital incubator. She launched it from her kitchen in 2014 after years of experimenting with natural hair care formulas as a registered nurse in Chicago. She used her medical background to understand ingredients, her personal experience as a Black woman to understand the market's needs, and her entrepreneurial instincts to understand the gap, a beauty industry that had chronically underserved women with natural hair textures, and a consumer base that was desperately ready for something better. Mielle Organics grew rapidly, powered by social media, word of mouth, and the undeniable effectiveness of products like the rosemary mint scalp and hair strengthening oil that became a viral phenomenon. By 2021, Monique's net worth was estimated at $14 million, and then the trajectory accelerated. Berkshire Partners invested over $100 million in Mielle, and in 2023, Procter & Gamble acquired the brand in a transaction described by industry sources as the largest acquisition ever completed for a Black female beauty founder. Monique stayed on as CEO, overseeing a brand that now distributes globally. Although the exact sale figure was not publicly disclosed, conservative industry estimates placed the total value of the transaction well into the hundreds of millions of dollars. Monique Rodriguez did not wait for the beauty industry to make room for her. She built something so undeniable that the industry's largest company came to her table and signed on her terms. That is a different category of power entirely. Number 2, and the only name on this list who requires a different unit of measurement, is Oprah Winfrey. Her primary residences have long been in California and Hawaii, but Oprah's connection to Atlanta is deep, structural, and financial. She has donated hundreds of millions of dollars to Atlanta's HBCUs and educational institutions. She has invested in and supported the Atlanta-based creative ecosystem, including Tyler Perry Studios, which sits on the former Fort McPherson military base in southwest Atlanta, and which Oprah has publicly championed as one of the most important cultural and commercial developments in the city's history. Her own network, the Oprah Winfrey Network, has been home to some of Atlanta's most watched programming. And in a city where Black excellence is the cultural standard, Oprah Winfrey is simply the standard against which all other standards are measured. Her net worth, as of 2025, is estimated at approximately $3.2 billion by Forbes, making her the wealthiest Black woman in the world and one of the wealthiest self-made individuals of any race or gender in American history. She built that fortune not by being famous, but by being deliberate, negotiating the ownership rights to The Oprah Winfrey Show through her production company Harpo in 1988, at a time when no talk show host had ever done such a thing, and then converting that ownership into a compounding empire across television, film, publishing, and investment. Oprah Winfrey in Atlanta is a presence felt even from a distance, and that, more than proximity, is what defines influence. And at number 1 is the woman who has been building her empire so quietly, so methodically, and for so long that the full architecture of what she has constructed is only now coming into focus for the people who thought they already knew her story. Kandi Burruss, born May 17, 1976 in College Park, Georgia, a neighborhood that produced her and had no idea what it was producing, has an estimated net worth of $30 million and an income infrastructure so diversified, so deeply rooted, that even a decade of setbacks could not meaningfully disrupt it. She co-founded Escape at 15 years old. She co-wrote TLC's No Scrubs and Destiny's Child's Bills, Bills, Bills before she turned 23. She has writing credits on songs for Whitney Houston, Alicia Keys, NSYNC, Pink, and, through a publishing settlement, Ed Sheeran's Shape of You. Her Grammy Award for Best R&B Song arrived in 2000, and the royalties from that catalog have compounded every year since. She joined The Real Housewives of Atlanta in Season 2 in 2009, reportedly initially just something cute to do for a little while, and left 14 seasons later as the highest paid cast member in franchise history, earning $2 million per season at her peak, and as the longest-running housewife in any version of the show globally. Along the way, she launched Bedroom Kandi in 2011, an adult lifestyle brand generating over $12 million in annual revenue. She opened Old Lady Gang in Atlanta's Edgewood Avenue Entertainment District in 2017, a soul food restaurant named for the matriarchs of her family, which now operates across multiple locations, generating over $2 million in annual profits. She launched Tag's Boutique, candy-coated cosmetics, whose brush set made Oprah's favorite things list in 2024, and Candy Coated Entertainment, her independent record label. She co-produced Broadway's The Piano Lesson, The Wiz, and in 2025, Othello, starring Denzel Washington and Jake Gyllenhaal, which broke the 8-performance gross record previously held by Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. She did all of this without a single venture capital check, without a wealthy family behind her, without a blueprint that anyone handed to her. She drew her own. And she drew it in College Park, Georgia, with the instincts of a woman who understood, long before the business world caught up, that in the attention economy, the ones who own the catalog, own the restaurant, own the production company, own the brand. Those are the ones who last. Atlanta runs on ambition. Kandi Burruss is what Atlanta's ambition looks like when it works. So now the question comes to you. Which of these powerful Black women do you think truly runs Atlanta? And whose lifestyle surprised you the most? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, we've got another incredible Black success story waiting for you right here on Black Elites. Don't forget to give this video a like, Share your thoughts in the comments, hit that subscribe button, and turn on the notification bell. And never stop watching Black Elites. I'll see you in the next one.